Now, two Black Lives Matter activists interrupted a private Hillary Clinton fundraising event Wednesday night in South Carolina. Let's take a look at that.
Making sure that South Carolina became the first state with body cameras. There's more work to be done, but got to lay down these markers. You got to build toward common sense gun reform, criminal justice reform, and all the like. So I think we've got we've got somebody saying here, we have to bring them
apologize for mass incarceration.
Okay, we'll talk about it.
I'm not a super predator, Hillary Clinton.
Okay, fine, we'll talk about it.
You apologize to black people for mass incarceration?
Well, can I talk, and then maybe you can listen to what I say? Okay, fine. Thank you very much. There's a lot of issues in this campaign. The very first speech that I gave back in April was about criminal justice reform and about
predators.
You're being rude.
That's not appropriate.
Super predators. That's
This
rude.
is not appropriate.
That's rude.
Yeah, you want to hear the facts, you just want to talk.
I know that you called black youth super predators in 1994. Please explain the record. Explain it to us. You owe black people an apology.
Well,
Excuse us. That's
tell you
inappropriate.
what, if you will give me a chance to talk, I'll approach your side. You know what? Nobody's ever asked me before. You're the first person to ask me, and I'm happy to address it, but you are the first person to ask me here. Okay, back to the issues. The issues that I think are...
That's so rude. That's so inappropriate. And you could even hear, and I don't know if it was him or not, but might have been Bill Clinton saying, hey, she's trespassing. No, she paid $500 to get into this event. She had every right to be there, and she had every right to have her voice heard. Now, who is this woman? Well, this is Ashley Williams, and she's actually a youth activist. Now, Williams said she and a colleague, whom she did not identify, contributed $500 to attend the Clinton event, which was held at a private residence and was attended by around 100 guests. Now, she said that she and her colleagues strategically placed themselves at the front of the crowd and waited for Hillary Clinton to give her speech. Now, as she gave that speech, as you saw in that video, she held up a sign that says, "We have to bring them to heel." Basically, her statements back in 1996. Now, when asked, Williams, later on, after this whole thing unfolded, she told the Huffington Post, quote, "I wanted to bring her to confront her own words. We did this because we wanted to make sure that black people are paying attention to her record, and we want to know what Hillary we are getting." Now, what words, you might be asking? Where did this come from? Well, I have a clip from 1996 where Hillary Clinton was discussing her support for her husband's crime bill. Let's take a look at that.
Not just gangs of kids anymore. They are often the kinds of kids that are called super predators. No conscience, no empathy. We can talk about why they ended up that way, but first we have to bring them to heel.
We have to bring them to heel because they have no conscience and no empathy. Okay. Now let's go back to Williams for a second, right? Why did she do this? Well, she says she was motivated to protest because of the policies passed during the Bill Clinton administration. Now, these policies led to an increase in mass incarceration that affected heavily black communities, and also three-strike federal sentencing law, and the elimination of rehabilitative programs for drug abuse, and an emphasis on constructing new prisons. Now, Bill Clinton, last July, around July 15th of last year, said that doing this and passing this legislation was a mistake. Quote, "I signed a bill that made the problem worse." And this was during an NAACP rally in Philadelphia. And he said, quote, "I want to admit it. I want to admit that what I signed made the problem worse. It didn't solve the problem." Quote, he did say that we had a roaring decade of rising crime. We had gang warfare in the streets. We had little children being shot dead on the streets who were just innocent bystanders standing in the wrong place. Now that's obviously awful. And you can't deny that there had to be something that was done, right? However, with that law, as a consequence, a lot of people ended up in prison for nonviolent crime as well. It's not just the people going around shooting people, the people doing drugs, dealing drugs. It's people who are doing nonviolent crime, nonviolent drug offenses. Now, Bill Clinton continues. In that bill, there were longer sentences, and most of these people are in prison under state law. But the federal law set a trend, and that was overdone. We were wrong about that percentage of it, we were wrong about. Now, he also said, the good news is that we had the biggest drop in crime in history. The bad news is we had a lot of people who were locked up who were minor actors for way too long. Now, for me, look, I don't care if we're locking up violent criminals. That's sort of the purpose of prison, is to separate the violent people from the nonviolent people, right? But however, those minor actors are normally people who are essentially caught with small amounts of marijuana. Those were the people that Hillary Clinton lumped in as the super predators that needed to be brought to heel. Now, whether she knew it or not, I'm not sure. Maybe she didn't know that that's what was going to be the result of this. But there's no doubt that was the result. See, what happened is this crime bill cast too wide of a net. And if Hillary Clinton had explained that, it wouldn't have looked as half as bad as it does right now. Instead, what happened, and you saw it, Secret Service kicked her right out. She was asking a question. You could argue that maybe she was being rude. I don't think she was. I think she was actually asking a pretty valid question. But she was kicked out before she could really get an answer. Now, number one, she paid to be there, right? And number two, she raised a real issue. And that issue is, as a young, for her, as a young African-American activist, how can you trust that Hillary Clinton actually cares about the African-American community? Now, before this event, Williams released a statement saying, quote, Hillary Clinton has a pattern of throwing the black community under the bus when it serves her politically. She called our boys, quote, super predators in '96, and then she race baited while running against Obama in '08. Now, one example of that is that in one of the ads, they actually had Obama colored a little bit more darkly. So, to make him, I guess, seem more black? Yeah. And there are other examples as well. I mean, you can look at how that campaign got super, super dirty. But she continues. Now she's a lifelong civil rights activist. I just want to know which Hillary is running for president. The one from '96, '08, or the new Hillary. And as a response from this, of course, Twitter launched the hashtag #Which_Hillary. So check that out. Now, here's the thing, right? In the last town hall, Hillary Clinton was literally stumped at why people didn't support her. She couldn't understand. She was asked that question. Why don't young people support you? I don't know. That's a good question. Well, it's because of this very issue. Not the issue of the '94 crime bill, but it's the issue of what Hillary are we getting? Will the real Hillary Clinton please stand up? Because we don't know. And see, young people, they don't trust her because we have the internet. We can look at what she said, what she supported, and when she evolved on that issue. And her record, look, she's done a lot of things. She's had a lot of accomplishments, but her record also shows one of constant evolution. And on issues when it seems politically expedient. Now, older people, older voters might look at that and say, well, yeah, look, she's a politician. She's a standard politician. All of our politicians always do that. We like that. That's our political reality. You should accept it. Well, younger people are saying, no, we're not going to accept that. That's not what we want as our standard political reality. We want something different. That's why we're challenging this. We want to change it. We don't want your standard politician. We want somebody who's honest. We want someone who's consistent. We don't want someone who changes their position if it's politically popular. And that's, unfortunately, what Clinton is. Which Clinton are we getting? At the end of the day, we don't know. And for young people, like Ashley Williams, that's one of the biggest problems.